Really glad to have you all here for this session. Today we're going to be talking about digital transformation and the customer experience. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, customer experience is a key mandate for any business. And to create that customer experience, we're all leaning into digital transformation. Lots of things we could digitize, but do they manifest themselves in something that the customer can experience, will improve your reputation, your brand, and potentially give you the ability to monetize the capabilities and offerings that you have. So we all know that happy and fulfilled customers are paramount for success of businesses in any industry. And maximizing the customer experience not only allows you to develop those happier customers, but as I mentioned, it gives you new revenue streams, new margins, and the sky is ultimately the limit as to what you can do. So I'm very excited to be here today for this innovative session. We're going to be talking with three leaders. We're going to have Randeep Arora with Mattel, Jason Simpson, hi Jason, with Choice Hotels, and Brandon Burge. So our first speaker will be Randeep, and today he's going to speak with us about how his company has built a digital collectible marketplace based on NFT technology. This marketplace complements their core business of toy making. So please welcome Mattel Director of Enterprise Application and Services TCOE, Randeep Arora.
Thank you.
Thank you. There you go.
Good afternoon, guys. So I'll try to accelerate myself throughout this session because I know amongst the three of us, we're probably standing between we speaking, you guys being here, and drinks outside, which is not a nice place to be. I can absolutely relate to that. So I had Mattel's Enterprise Application Support and Test Center of Excellence. And as part of our effort to partner with our business, we embarked on a journey for modernization, for transformation. And as part of that, one of the key programs we started was O2I, Order to Invoice, that basically led us through digitization of our front end using Shopify, and then the entire middleware stack, OMS, WMS, and then making sure that we go and modernize the supply chain as well as over to the invoicing, and then of course the shipment. So through the journey, what we found out was our core business is that we make toys, very heavy focused on the supply chain, and the life cycle that we have for the toy making is close to about 2 years. We are an IP-based driven company. Some of our goals are to make sure that we enhance our business, that we protect our IP. At the same time, we have engagement through our platforms for kids, and we develop them as they have fun, which is one of the most important parts. It's close to just over $5.5 billion company. We have got 36,000 employees, and we are global in close to about 150 countries. Toys, if not much, have a very waterfall life cycle in terms of its manufacturing. And just as I mentioned, it's close to about 2 years from inception to the point where they hit the market and the concept is taken. As we started modernizing, we had our business come to us and make sure that they partner with us because most of the times the IT and the business partnership is what accelerates this journey. And if you don't have that locked down, then it becomes an impediment. So in order to make sure that we advance our e-commerce goals and we make our partners go through the successful journey, we embarked on this e-commerce digitization and the DTC capabilities enhancement. And that's where, from a testing perspective, I started getting involved more and more, and that's how my partnership with Delphix came into being for Mattel. We have used Delphix in the past as well to do virtualization for the data as part of the test data management piece. And I think the speakers before me also kind of honed in on the fact that the test data management, along with the fact that You have the test data security, the test data sprawl. All of these factors need to be kind of looked at holistically. And based on where exactly you belong in your maturity cycle or maturity life cycle, you will adopt these concepts with some amount of resistance, some amount of acceptance, and it's always a mixed journey. But in Mattel, we started using our partnership with our business, with our system owners, as we call it, or the portfolio owners, and trying to figure out where does it make more sense, because our systems were all a mess. So if you look, I'm just going to skip through a couple slides just so that I can go ahead and wrap it up. It was messy. We had some of our front ends which had very mixed look and feel. We had Mattel Creations on another platform. We had American Girl on a different platform. And consumers who would order from one would not have the same experience from the other. The invoice that got created, even though if you were one user, you could have multiple sites, multiple handoff points. The data wouldn't come through to our test system seamlessly. ERP had a different problem. I had absolutely on-prem. If I had to create another flow, another environment for the releases to go through, I couldn't do it because I had no way to virtualize that data for you. I couldn't spin it up. If I had to support a project A, the project A had to make sure that the project B could utilize the data. There was no way of having a snapshot. Or I would just basically hand them a nice little invoice of, this is what I need extra license, I need extra hardware, I need extra memory, and of course there is, another 320 man hours or person hours before I can get you even started. So we started narrowing down as to what two systems would we basically address and then move beyond this blockage. And we looked at our ERP and we looked at our WMS systems as the two pieces in the legacy platform which needed to be addressed immediately so that the integrated data flow could go from your front end and it would come in and you would be able to go ahead and create a parallel path for this data for the particular program to go through while your other release in the production could be supported without having any data overlap. So we took snapshots of our ERP. While in the front end, we managed to go ahead and have this on Shopify. Shopify is basically going ahead and creating a very uniform customer experience, wherein you now go and you go ahead, take every single order that you have. And as it was mentioned about the NFT. Before we started doing this journey, we had the concept of going in and venturing into the NFT for complementing our digital business too. Because we had the ability now to make sure that this is no longer an impediment in the entire in the entire life cycle, we could go ahead and launch NFT on Mattel Creations within a period of 3 months. So from the basic conceptualization of using an NFT and then saying, okay, we're going to go launch NFT for a given Hot Wheel product, it was 3 months before we could just go ahead and just say, yeah, you're good to go. And this is down from, I think, multiple months. Of course, our journey in this was to make sure that the digital platform that is taking these orders in front was able to pass it through in the back end. Then, of course, the payments go through the digital partners. It goes through Salesforce, goes through our, I believe it's still the Shopify invoicing. And then it goes through and carries that piece seamlessly while we're making sure that none of the projects have any impediment, have any overlapping towards the test data that is needed for them versus what is needed for NFT or for O2I. And at the same time, we can go ahead and reset the image within roughly 4 to 6 person hours instead of 5 to 7 business days as typically it would have taken for me to go create a pedal path for you. So that entire journey and the fact that we were able to go ahead and create snapshots for you, consistently make sure the test data was uniform and across the platform, and we could just go ahead and hit the rewind button at the end of it and go create another state whenever you wanted, is what basically enabled us to accelerate both these programs, maintain a prod path, and yet make sure that we partner with our business to go and get out of that siloed data mode, get out of the IT as an impediment, and carry this partnership, carry this journey through. We made sure that those releases that we had planned for went ahead, and instead of consistently making a shift to the right, we could do a left shift. A project and in this case scenario, which was delayed by over 6 months, we could just finally bring it down. And in March, we were able to go ahead and release our first phase, actually, on the new transformed path, with the second one planned and on schedule for June this year. So something that we were trying to achieve since 2020, not 19 was conceptualization, was actually going ahead and per the milestones, and we were able to accomplish that just by making sure that the test data management piece was incorporated, the best practices were in play, and we could virtualize the test data snapshots and provide them to our customers, internal customers, as and when asked for. Along with that, the second piece that we focused on was how do we go ahead and we provide data security for our environments, and that is where the masking piece came into play. And at this point in time, all our business transactions that are hitting the ERP, we're going ahead and embarking on making sure the test data masking is implemented across the landscape and how it can be carried through. Can we go ahead and make sure that the business logic, business rules for test data in ERP seamlessly flow through, or from Salesforce flow through over to ERP? From ERP, I can carry it through to WMS, and then it maintains my integrity for the data. So that's the second piece that we're looking into from an overall maturity perspective, and that's what I was going earlier on. That depending on where you are with your maturity of systems, of procedures, of processes that support the testing, especially, it'll take you through a different path. So now, from 21 through to 23, we have gone ahead and we have launched, like I was saying, all mattelcreations.com, ag.com, everything is on Shopify as a combined platform. We have gone ahead and made sure the systems supporting that in the back end are going ahead and now modernized over from legacy platforms to using IBM DOM, using BYWMS, again, making sure that journey goes through and eliminates test data and eliminates the potential of you going ahead and exposing the test data over to any of the security risks, kind of eliminating those two key pieces out and going ahead and maturing our test environments. We launched our, again, second experience for that in December, which was on shop.mattel.com. And again, if you go check the trend, we have gone ahead and supported a Barbie core movement at this point in time. This is basically kind of similar but different. It's a Barbie pink, which is quite a bit of a social hashtag, and it's everywhere, in fact, on the social media this summer. So go ahead, check that out. And that was also possible because we could react to our business's demand for shifting towards a more dynamic market about how do we address the key product that we have for the Barbie core market. And again, piece of it is attributed to how we go ahead and take DevOps and assimilate into our complex, messy environment. How do we simplify it for our developers, for our testers, for our entire life cycle? And then more importantly, just enhance this out for our business. So while we make toys, we make sure the supply chain is still supporting that. We are innovating and transforming on this.
All right.
Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Randeep. Okay, so what I heard there was it takes 2 years to release a Mattel product, and with your new platform, you can release digital products in 2 weeks? Is that?
It's up to 3 months, depending on how complicated it is. But it's just basically, what it does is it eliminates IT, or it eliminates the test data and the test environment as an impediment for you to even go through. So if you could accelerate it, you could do it in 2 weeks in a sprint. Or if you had a more complicated product that you wanted to launch, you could still do it within a few months.
That's great. That's exciting. All right, well, thank you. So our next speaker represents a hospitality industry pioneer, delivering cloud-native host management systems. So please welcome Choice Hotels VP of Engineering, Jason Simpson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Boy, it's hard to follow Barbie. We'll see what we can do there. I was really looking at the Hot Wheels there more than Barbie, to be fair. But all right, so really going to talk about what we've been doing for world-class customer experience at Choice and kind of a cloud journey to get there, right? So there's the agenda, who we are, kind of our cloud journey, how we really leverage data in the cloud, and then what's new for the future. So Choice Hotels, I don't know. Like I said, you probably know our brand names: Comfort Inn, Sleep Inn. We're an 84-year-old company. Sometimes I like to say with 30-year-old technology. 7,000 hotels, franchises globally. We operate in 40 different countries, 23 brands. We just bought Radisson Hotels Americas, so that added a bunch of new hotels. In fact, there's one like 2 doors down from here, so if you want to come back to Miami, you can stay there if you'd like. So why cloud, right? Obviously, you're trying to deliver value for the customer faster, and that customer can be a guest, or it could be one of our franchisees. And so the ways to do that is to, what kind of features could they use? Could they use mobile check-in? Could they use something that allows our franchisees to save money? So that's one of the big reasons we went with cloud. The other one really is about resiliency and scalability, right? When you have 7,000 hotels and want to take as many, we have millions of reservations a year, you need to be able to scale at essentially cloud. And one of the things we did in 2022 was we released a new revenue management system that essentially lets all our franchisees really scale that revenue up and down based on whether or not their hotel is filled. And so we had this big fanfare. We're going to roll this out to 7,000 franchisees, and we picked a date and we launched it. And all of a sudden, we were getting double the messages and double the transactions that we had expected. And if you can imagine, like in the old days, if your data center was getting hammered by double what you expected, you're probably rolling that thing back and there's going to be a whole lot of egg on your face. But luckily for us, we're in the cloud and we just auto-scaled right up and we're twice as big as we expected, but there was no loss of anything, right? The franchisees didn't know. Of course, the dev teams did. So they spun in a couple days and they actually fixed the problem and we auto-scaled back down to the right size. But without cloud, that would have been like a disaster. And so this is the thing that is also helping us pave the way for the future as we want to look for new innovation, ChatGPT, what are we leveraging in the future? I'm not sure how you're going to do that easily if you're not in the cloud and being able to take advantage of the innovation that like the hyperscalers are bringing. So some of the other things that we're doing in order to transform is really around that guest experience. I mentioned mobile check-in. We quickly did a contactless check-in when the pandemic hit. Data safety is always top of mind for us, right? GDPR, we get requests for that all the time. We have PII and PCI data, and Delphix helps us with that because, of course, we mask all of that PII, PCI data. And then we've automated a bunch of our GDPR requests, so if people ask for their data to be, expunged, we can do it. And of course, the other thing that this leads to is sustainable IT, right? And being in the cloud, we can take advantage of that hyperscaler. We're really, pushing the envelope on what we're doing there. And then, of course, when we started cloud, it was expensive. And the interesting thing is, over the past couple of years, we've literally not increased our cloud bill. But because we've gotten way more efficient, and then we can buy new services and things, serverless or containers that really help us kind of drive that transformation. So here's our journey. 2015 is our first use of AWS. Some of our engineers just started putzing around in there and seeing if they could build something. In 2016, we decided to essentially rebuild our core central reservation system. This is something that has to take millions of transactions a day, and it started in 2016. By the end of 2018, we finally had it live in the cloud, and that pretty much put us at about 35% cloud at that point. Everything else was in these 2 data centers. So in 2019, we actually started our cloud migration, started lifting and shifting some applications, retiring a bunch, or transforming them so that they're cloud ready. 50% in 2020, started making some progress. Last year, we actually pivoted to where we were going to go for 100%. And when we did that, we were able to shut down one of our data centers, hit 70%. Today, we're at about 80%. I checked the dashboard the other day. It's still at 80. We're we're shooting for the target of early 24 February of actually being 100% cloud. And I think that'll be like transformational for us because we're just going to be able to go so much faster. And so if you look at like being able to change things, it takes that, I've heard people, process, and culture earlier today, but I think of it as people, process, and technology. And our two big technology partners in this case, of course, are Amazon, and then we also leverage the heck out of Delphix for all this data virtualization and masking. But the other thing is it takes kind of this culture change within your people to go, look, we were doing waterfall and we were delivering monthly. We went to Agile and maybe we're doing it a couple times a month. We're to the point now where we're DevOps and we're deploying daily to production. We want to get to that full CI/CD, and I can't imagine how you're going to do that without some kind of data virtualization and be able to speed up that CI/CD platform. So that's our goal, is to get there, and without Delphix, I don't know how we were ever going to be able to do that. So today, how we're using Delphix, really, we've masked all of our critical data. Some teams are virtualizing in key areas, and we hope that by the time we're out of that data center, we will have amassed all the data in our lower environments, some of the data in our production environment, and of course, everyone will be using virtualized data, because I don't know how they're going to be able to do it if they're not. So we're really looking forward to it. We appreciate the partnership with Delphix. Like I said, I don't know how we would have gotten here without them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate that. Our final speaker, customer company, has leveraged digital innovation. Say that 3 times. To help their customers easily find the right medicines, the right doctors, and to address their needs. Please welcome Express Scripts Director, IT, Brandon Birch.
Thanks, Sarah. So I'm going to need everybody to fasten their seatbelts because we're going to do a hard U-turn from cloud, and we are going to talk about mainframe. I know there was one person that got excited about that. So I am with Express Scripts, and this is a Evernorth Health Services company under the Cigna Group umbrella. We supply 1.4 billion prescriptions a year. We have 180 million members across 3,000 clients. Of those, that is 2/3 of the Fortune 50 companies, as well as the top 10 health plans in the US. For the first 25 years of our existence, we had rapid growth through merger and acquisition. We focused on companies that complemented the products that we offered, and we quickly integrated their services and their systems into our technology footprint. After years of this, we ended up with an architecture that looked like this. And on the surface, it looks fairly organized. We were able to cleanly segment all of our core capabilities to the business processes that they supported, right? The data, the transactions look like they flow naturally from one core capability to the other. But whenever we pull the curtain back and take a peek at reality, it actually looks like this. This is our actual architecture after one of our last major horizontal acquisitions. And what you'll notice is that there are a few core capabilities that everything is dependent on. And these capabilities really drove the bus, and everybody else had to tag along. Because of this, we had a 6-week enterprise release cycle where we only really had 2 weeks of pure development, and the other 4 weeks were integration, testing, and defect fix. And this all culminated in a massive release that went over 2 nights, and the large majority of all these capabilities were deployed. Talk about an interesting next couple of days, right? So this was an impediment for us. We couldn't get capabilities to the market fast enough, so what did we do? We called up our favorite consulting company and we bought a technology transformation. So 5 years ago, we started our technology transformation. We moved from project and portfolio funded teams to stable funded persistent teams. We went agile across the entire enterprise. The focus from a technology perspective was refactoring applications for the cloud, eliminating tech debt, and remediating dependency on a lot of those core capabilities. And we made good progress. We really moved the needle, but we still weren't fast enough to keep up with the rate of change in the market. And we could only move as fast as the slowest buffalo, which was the mainframe. So the cloud-native applications already had the tools and methodologies to live in an agile and continuous delivery world. But we were very immature in this space in the mainframe software engineering teams. Most of our developers were still using green screens. They hadn't seen a modern IDE, and they didn't even know what a pipeline was. So in order to make the mainframe teams faster, we focused all of our energy on how do we artificially decouple these teams and that mess that we saw earlier and give them small self-contained environments which they can do development and testing in. So what we did is we found a virtual mainframe solution to where we could put a team in their own self-contained environment. And the thinking was that if there was only one team in an environment, that they could iterate faster knowing that any unintended outcome was caused by them and not one of the other 37 capabilities that were in a shared environment. The only problem with this approach was the data. They needed 13 terabytes of data in order to adjudicate a claim whenever they're testing the claims processing engine. So we didn't have the ability to spin all of the environments we needed with 13 terabytes, and I had the capacity and demand to spin 42 of these virtual environments. That's where Delphix came into play. We were able to virtualize the data and present the data as a single source of truth to each one of these 42 small-scale environments, and I now didn't have to replicate that 42 times. I really didn't want to have to go to the infrastructure team and ask them for that much storage and infrastructure, right? So what we were able to provide the teams is they could now provision 42 of these small environments at will. They could spin on demand. They had all of the data that they needed to do development and testing. We saw 80% compression in that single source of truth. So after we ingested that into Delphix, we saw a significant savings from compression. We also had a cloud portable solution. Because this didn't run on physical mainframe, this ran on Linux VMs, we were able to move this to any infrastructure as a service provider and take all of that data with it. And we also saved $1.6 million in cost avoidance from having to request all of the infrastructure, the storage, and the network in order to be able to support these 42 environments. But most importantly, we enabled our mainframe development teams to start sprinting, and now they're able to drop code, new feature functionality every 2 weeks compared to that 6-week cycle. So the next area that we moved into was our specialty pharmacy. For those of you that aren't familiar with specialty drugs, these are high-cost, life-saving drugs that are normally administered in a hospital, a clinic, or in your home by a healthcare professional. So our machine learning team came to us, and they wanted to take advantage of the wealth of data that we had in the core specialty system. The only problem was that the data was stagnant. It was actually very stagnant. They had homegrown refresh and data masking processes that took 2 weeks in order to complete. And during that 2 weeks, the developers experienced a 2-week hard outage. That's when everybody planned their vacations, when they did the refresh. But because of that, they only did the refresh once a year, right? So you're a machine learning team that's wanting to create models, train them, come up with new products, with new capabilities, new campaigns. You're looking to monetize data, but you're doing it on data that could be 11 or 12 months old, right? So this is where we looked at Delphix. Because we had proven the capability and the power of Delphix in the mainframe space, we thought that this was going to be a good fit here. We already had an approved pattern for implementing, so we were able to do this very quickly. What we were able to do is give a fully HIPAA-compliant mask solution. It was fully automated at push of a button, including the refresh and the mask. We saw 92% compression on that single source of truth once again, and we were able to collapse 6 environments in one. That was about $500,000 in savings from an infrastructure perspective. And we gave the teams a cloud portable solution. So now they were able to take advantage of burst capacity in the cloud whenever they're trying to create and train their machine learning models. We didn't stop there. We have since expanded to various aspects of technology in the business, but I don't think I necessarily have enough time to get into all of those.
So we're done. Thank you, Brandon. Okay, well, let me say this. I think we saw something really cool up here. We heard three different, very different stories, from making toys to life-saving drugs, and then getting some good rest when you're innovating and creating. At the heart of all of these stories was industry leaders trying to do something better for their customers and working with their partner ecosystem to make that happen. What's exciting about Delphix is you heard across these cases, you can save money, cost, get more efficiency out of your systems, you can accelerate your developer experience, and you can delight your customers by really taking advantage of digital transformation. So gentlemen, it was an honor to be on stage with you today and to hear these stories. I'm absolutely thrilled I got the opportunity to do this. And we'll make that a wrap, let everybody get some cocktails, and continue the discussion next time.
Thank you, everyone.